Welcome to another episode of Systematic Geekology. This is a space where we seek to create and cultivate healthy conversations between those things we geek out on and the philosophical and theological questions that often arise out of our fandoms. Like, what does it mean to be human? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? How do the stories and narratives we geek out on shape how we live in the world? We are your priest to the geeks. We aren't all ordained, but we see ourselves as mediators at the intersection of geek culture and going deeper in our faith. We don't always have to agree, but we do respect each other, and we see everyone as a beloved child of God. Everyone geeks out on something, so come geek out with us and enjoy the show.
This show is a proud member of the Anazal Podcast Network.
Is Project Hail Mary one of the best sci-fi movies of the 21st century, or is it simply loved by Andy Walsh? We will see in this episode, because and we are talking about all that and more. This is Systematic Geekology. We are the priest of the geeks, and we are here for another What's News episode where we talk about all the latest things in geek culture. And tonight we have a lot to talk about, because not only are we discussing Project Hail Mary and sharing our thoughts on the film, but we have some big trailers to talk about. We've got Spider-Man, we've got Lanterns, we've got Dune. So very exciting things to talk about. And I am one of your hosts, Kevin Schaefer, here with two of my favorite geekologists that I think are perfect for this episode, Will Rose and Andy Walsh. Guys, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. It's been a hot minute since I've been on a What's News episode. So I saw the Systematic Geekology bat symbol up in the clouds, and I answered the call, and I'm here, and I can't wait to talk about it and hear Andy's thoughts on many things. So this is going to be fun.
I mean, like, I think, Project Hail Mary, huge movie right now, but I think, like, especially, Will, we couldn't have, I know Christian's not on this episode. He's doing another one, I think, later tonight, but, we got Spider-Man, we got Lanterns, we got to have you on for that. And Andy, this is an absolutely essential one for you to be on, because I was saying right before we were recording, we'll get to our thoughts on the movie, but if there was ever a movie, like, created specifically for Andy Walsh, I think that this is a pretty tailor-made for you kind of film.
Yeah, my the view from my front row seat on the Project Hail Mary bandwagon is looking pretty good.
Oh, very exciting. So I'm really excited to get into that, all of that and more. And before we start, I want to give a shout out to all of our listeners, all of our viewers, subscribers, and if you are a supporter of the show, we want to thank you very much. I want to shout out tonight James Barrett. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And if you want to learn more about Systematic Geekology and how to support our show, click on the link in our description. You can find out about merchandise. You can find about how to be a supporter on Fourth Wall. There's a lot of good stuff there. And, we're all over your favorite podcast platforms and here on YouTube. So check us out. We really appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, before we get into the main topics, let us go to that always lovable lightning round. Ooh, nice effect. That's different. I like it. Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, I couldn't find the lightning sound, so I just used the best one.
I kind of like that one better. That would be that sounds like, I don't know. And also, hey Andy, since you've got your Flash T-shirt on right now, like after you look like you were just struck by lightning. So, what is your lightning round pick tonight?
Yeah, my lightning round pick is a little movie called In the Blink of an Eye. It just showed up on my Hulu one day. Memo to the folks at Disney, Hulu, someone, when you make movies, tell somebody. And in fact, I was just rewatching the Lanterns trailer before this, and another trailer for another Hulu movie that I'd never heard of that's coming out this Friday popped up, a time travel movie. So they just make these movies and they just put them out there and nobody knows. But this one, Andrew Stanton doing live action sci-fi. That I would have loved to have seen this movie. Maybe get a theatrical release. Maybe get a theatrical release budget. The production values looked a little bit on the low side. but a very interesting story. It covers 3 time periods. A Neanderthal family in the distant prehistoric past, a genomics researcher in the present or the near future who's working on Neanderthal and human origins, and then Kate McKinnon on sort of an ARC ship in the distant future. And kind of goes back and forth and ties together all those 3 different stories and sort of the continuity of the human race, past, present, and future, and just has a lot of big ideas and a lot of very current science on human origins on its mind. And yeah, it's a shame that nobody knows that it exists. Also, very interesting dramatic performance from Kate McKinnon.
That you sold me there. I'm a fan. That's good.
Andrew Stanton has done more live action stuff. I mean, for those, he was a Pixar veteran, but he directed several episodes of Obi-Wan, and then I think he's done some other things. But yeah, I'm always interested when I think he did some of Stranger Things as well in the earlier seasons. But yeah, great pick. I love it. So.
Nice,
and I love Kate McKinnon. So yeah. Will, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going down kind of a Lobo rabbit hole with the new launch of Lobo #1 with one of my favorite creative teams with Scotty Young and George Corona. I think that's how you say it. And I went and found Lobo's appearance on Superman the Animated Series in season 1, which is a good 2-part story. Love it. Really, really good. And knowing that Lobo's coming up with the Supergirl movie this summer, I've been kind of exploring like his first appearances and where he's been and where he's shown up and things. And so the new comic #1, Lobo, was really good. Even if you don't like that character and it's too over the top, it is just the craft of the art and the artwork in this book is just absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's what I've been geeking on. Just kind of deep diving some characters. As long as I've been in comic books, there are still characters I don't know a whole lot about and like to go deep diving in some of those things. So Lobo's one of them.
I do want to check the new one out. I've got now the DC Universe Infinite app, so reading a ton of comics on there. But yes, I'm so excited for Momoa to play him this summer. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Well, Andy, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if you can capture kind of his feel from the animated series, that was a lot of fun. That was a good time. It's been a while since I've seen those episodes, and that was fun to revisit.
And that was when Robert from Everybody Loves Raymond, Brad Garrett, did the voice. And it was
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Andy, you got since you watched the movie on Hulu. This was not a Hulu original, but it's on there now, and I have been telling everyone about it ever since I saw it. I wish I got to see this in theaters last year, but a movie called Rental Family with Brendan Fraser, and it is absolutely phenomenal. Criminally overlooked, I think, and I really hope this catches on with more people. But quick gist is that Brendan Fraser plays an actor who's been living in Japan for the past 7 years, and he gets a job with this company that essentially has actors play certain parts for families or individuals. And so one of the main storylines is he has to essentially pretend to be this young girl's father because the mother is trying to get her into an elite private school, and the biological father's never been around. And so Brendan Fraser has to pose as him and in order to get to an interview, get her into the school. And of course he gets attached to her. That's only, and they form, this, kind of surrogate parent relationship. And that's one of the main storylines, but there's so much into it. It is just one of the most charming, elegant movies I've seen in recent memory. Cannot recommend it enough. So definitely check that out. It is available on Hulu now. And yeah, I really hope more people see it. It was absolutely beautiful.
Nice.
So,
cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Howdy guys, I really hate to interrupt, but my name's TJ, and I'm here to tell you about our new merch. We have incredible new stuff with Fourth Wall. We have just partnered with them as a new store. They have a lot more to offer, which means we have a lot more to offer. We can now offer you beautiful Comfort Colors t-shirts. They're so comfy. I wear mine all the time, and we've got it all now. Cups, hats, backpacks, pajamas. If you want your systematic geekology pajamas, you know where to go. My personal favorite is actually our Throne of Geeks shirt. It is Comfort Colors, blue, black, green, red, orange. And the shirts are just so nice. And the shirt itself, we've got the Throne of Iron geeked out because, that's our brand. We've got Mjolnir on there, the Buster Sword, Trident. Basically just the coolest weapons from our favorite properties, are on the shirt instead of a bunch of normal boring swords from the boring series Game of Thrones. So check that out, and thank you.
Well, I know we've got a lot to cover tonight, so let's get first to the big trailers that came out recently. So Blue Detective is premiering on HBO in August. But yes, we have a little joke there, but we are, of course, talking about the Lantern series from DC Studios. And yes, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that. If you're listening to this later, yeah, Andy has the title Blue Detective written above the credits and the image from the teaser. But this is based on Green Lantern and the Green Lantern universe from DC. It has been advertised as kind of True Detective in space, and the trailer very much captures, I think, a lot of that. Created by Tom King, which is huge, Damon Lindelof, and Chris Mundy, and then starring Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan, Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart, not Daily Show Jon Stewart, but we'll get to that. And then Nathan Fillion is resumed, or it's is confirmed to reprise his role as Guy Gardner. So yeah, a lot to talk about this trailer, and I think before we get into some of the discourse around it, let's talk about our thoughts on the trailer first. Andy, we'll start with you. So, you got your Flash shirt on right now. Can you talk a little bit about what you thought of this trailer and even some of your background with these characters?
Yeah, I mean, I remember having a Green Lantern action figure as a kid, and that costume design was just so striking. I didn't really know much else about the character at the time. He went with my Superman and Batman action figures that I had that, I knew those characters. I had seen cartoons and read comics and so forth. But yeah, Green Lantern, I knew nothing about other than it's a really cool design. And I've dipped in and out of the Green Lantern world at different times. I think my biggest dive was when they were doing all the different colors of the rainbow and the Sinestro Corps and then the Sinestro War. And all that, all those stories. So I like the design of it. I like the sci-fi of it, and so I was not at all prepared. I hadn't actually caught that this was supposed to be sort of True Detective inspired, and so yeah, this trailer kind of caught me flat-footed. I was excited for Aaron Pierre. I was a big fan of Aaron Pierre in Rebel Ridge a couple years ago. So yeah, I thought I was going to be very into this, and man, did the trailer leave me underwhelmed. I hope there's more to it than this. I want the show to be good. I don't want it to fail. But yeah, a True Detective take on Green Lanterns was not what I was looking for, and a very sweary, mopey version of the Green Lantern. Like for all of the sins of the live action movie with Ryan Reynolds, it certainly captured the energy and joy that would come from just being able to fly through space right on your own. And I was hoping for a little bit more of that and a little bit less jaded, cynical, detective story kind of thing. So we'll see. I'm assuming that there's a lot that we're not seeing in this trailer. Maybe this is all episode 1 kind of stuff, and the world will open up and expand, and maybe somebody will smile or something at some point. But the call sheet so far has done more to get me interested in the show than the trailer.
No, great perspective there. I mean, and it's interesting for me. Well, first off, like background with Green Lantern stuff. So, like many listeners of this show know, I grew up on the DC animated universe. So, Jon Stewart was my Green Lantern from the Justice League animated series. I always loved that character, and then got more like you, Andy, kind of dipped in and out of the comic stuff. I'm doing a deep dive right now on the DC app, so I'm going to go through the whole Jeff Johns run, go through some of the older stories. There's a lot. I mean, I've read a good bit of Jeff Johns stuff over the years because he had an almost 10-year run and covering not just Hal Jordan but all of the Corps. And another run I really like is by Sam Humphries that had focused on 2 younger Green Lantern, Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz. I really like that one. But yeah, I mean, so going into this trailer, I was very aware that it was that they had pitched it as True Detective in space, because way back when James Gunn first announced his overall plan for the first phase of the DCU, he said there that, yeah, Lanterns was, I mean, not all of those projects have come to fruition. Some have been canceled, but Lanterns was on the original deck for there. And he did say it was going to be a more like a grounded approach. It was going to be on Earth. But to your point, too, I do really think that this is only a glimpse of what we're actually going to see in the show, and that it's setting up a lot more. So, yes, it holds a lot back here. But I agree that I think more of the Green Lantern stuff is going to come up because also because we've already been introduced to a Green Lantern in this universe. Guy Gardner in the Superman movie was very, I mean, it looked straight out of the comics. And so, and the thing about the Green Lanterns is, yes, most of their adventures are in space and, they're intergalactic police force and you have the Guardians of Oa. But there are also ones that do stuff on Earth. So I'm still very much looking forward to this show. I think what gives me hope, and this may be be the turnoff for people, but this is actually what I'm excited about, is the involvement of Damon Lindelof, because he created the Watchmen series, which I think is one of the best comic book adaptations I've ever seen. Talk about something that has a reverence for the source material, but does its own thing, and and is a continuation and does something that I could have never come up with. So I really love that series, and and this brings me to another point is like, I don't know if you guys saw the discourse between Grant Morrison and Damon Lindelof. Andy, did you guys hear about this?
Mm-mm.
So Grant Morrison wrote a Substack post criticizing, pretty much like echoing kind of like your thoughts, Andy, and also because Damon Lindelof went on a comedy podcast and they were asking like, well, why did you drop green from the title? And he made just like he's on a comedy podcast and like he regretted it after, but he made like a joke saying like, well, Green Lantern just sounds stupid. Oh, we don't want to go with that. And he went and like, so Grant Morrison wrote this Substack post and they said, stop hiring people who don't care about the source material and want to do, this should be a fun, space opera. And then Damon Lindelof replied like, it does suck when one of your favorite creators you grew up reading criticized you, but I do want to say, like, well, he posted a picture of himself at his first Comic-Con that he was invited to wearing a Green Lantern shirt. This was back, like, when Lost was on. So, I mean, there's no doubt he has a reverence for the source material. But, I've seen many comic book adaptations over the years that take a different approach, that still have a love for the source material, but do something different. Arrow being a prime example that has like, more in common with Batman than it does with Oliver Queen in the comics. But I still, I love that show for many years. And so yeah, I'm like, I can't say I absolutely love this trailer. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I do love Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler, so I think they'll be great together. But I am, curious how they will approach all of this while still making it fit into the larger DC universe, because this really did feel more like, when they said True Detective, like space, I was still expecting, space elements, cosmic elements here. And it seems like this is all like very grounded. But again, I think this is only a portion of what we'll see. And some of the characters in the trailer, I think those might end up being, let's say, Parallax or a Red Lantern in disguise or something like that. So I think we're bound to see more. But I'm still very excited for the show. I certainly have reservations as well. But I'm not as, oh my gosh, this is a complete, butchering of the source material. So, sorry, that was my monologue there. Will, I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, a little background. Like, I grew up on the Super Friends cartoon, and one of my favorite, I like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, but the next in line is who doesn't want a power ring from space and a calling to do good and be a space cop and fly around with a power ring. I remember as a kid putting on a ring and pretending it was a Green Lantern ring. Who doesn't want that? Whether it's a magic ring from Lord of the Rings or a space ring that with a calling. Yeah. You want a magic ring. So I've always loved this character, off and on with the comics. Whoever creative teams on it will follow along. So I guess in the Superman movie, it was very green. a lot of green, fluorescent green. And when they drop green from lanterns to just hide lanterns, there was green is missing. So I kind of want to see some green, but they were in the title. They dropped green from the title, so I guess they dropped it from the trailer too. So yeah, I did see the ring. There's green in that. I saw a lantern, and a little green there. So I guess we're gonna have Green Lantern. But I was kind of underwhelmed by this too. The kind of grittiness of it, so the cussing. You know, it's like, all right, we're gonna do like a Peacemaker version of Green Lanterns. Okay, I get it. It's HBO Max, but so we'll see. I'm very hopeful. I'm hoping, like you guys said, that it's just episode 1, and eventually he did mention that there is a Green Lantern who's a squirrel. So maybe we'll get to see that later on and see the kind of cast of characters in space and more cosmic version of this as it goes along. I do like Tom King a lot. I do like Damon Lindelof. So I trust them that they'll create a good show that can resonate with the source material and kind of expand the DC universe to future things. So we'll see. Yeah, I think maybe Jon Stewart will show up as the Justice Gang at some point. Friends League, I guess. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen one so they've also confirmed that Aaron Pierre will be in the next Superman movie. And so I think I've seen this theory posted too, and I think this is possible that they could set this one up as, because Andy, you were mentioning some of the like more cynical aspects of Hal here. Wonder if maybe this will set it up as Hal ends up being the villain because Parallax has already inhabited him, and like Jon Stewart has to become Ultimate Green Lantern here. So I think that's possible. We'll see what they do, but yeah, I mean, I'm I'm not like, oh yeah, the trailer didn't like blow me away, but I'm also not as quick to reject it. Oh, I also, just a side note too, the line at the end where he's like, all the other lanterns are aliens. I'm the only human. Because people were like, well, what about Guy? I think that was a great dig at Guy Gardner from Hal, saying like he's not even human. So I did like that line there, but yeah.
And I saw some critics going like, "Hey, I love seeing them encased in like a green glow. You could have at least done that a little. He's flying away. He's not Superman. He's not Wonder Woman. Like, let's have him glow a little bit as he goes. But we'll see how they do it. Maybe, hopefully, that was a test run, and they'll get they'll hear what the fans and fanboys and fangirls are saying. They'll do a little listening and touch up and some editing. When is it supposed to debut? When does this come out?
It's not till August, so they've been working on it for a while. So and it is the teaser trailer. So I think let's see what we see in the next one and when the show premieres. So we still have time there, but
cool.
But yeah. So we'll see how it goes. But on a different note, on a one that looks like, well, I say much brighter, at least in color and aesthetic. Brand New Day comes out in July, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, which I'm very excited for. Speaking of, also Wonder Man, they announced today that it's getting a season 2. I'm very happy about that.
What has Destin Cretton done? What else?
Shang-Chi, and then he co-created Wonder Man. So
nice.
2 for 2 in Marvel in my book.
I agree.
Yeah, he was gonna direct Avengers Kang Dynasty, and then when that got scrapped and they went to Russo Brothers, they gave him Spider-Man. So I think they probably gave him options, but I mean, I'm sure he took up the chance to do Spidey.
I'm ready.
So yeah, very excited for this. I mean, yeah, if you can't tell, I'm really stoked for this one. I love that this is very much a continuation of Tom Holland, Peter Parker story, and building off the events of No Way Home. I love the memes about this one where it's fans stoked to finally see Peter depressed and trying to hold on to everything, because that I remember still when the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer came out way back when, and I was like, okay, that looks fun, but Peter looks really happy there, and I'm like, where's my emo Spider-Man? And they actually did a brilliant thing where the first 3 movies were essentially the origin of this version of Peter, and he ends up in a worse place than I think Toby and Andrew ever were. I mean, while they certainly lost people, Peter is now in this version. The MCU Peter is now in a world where no one remembers him, and Aunt May died, and he is completely alone. So, but we also get to see some really fun MCU stuff here, bringing in my guy Punisher. I get to say that because I met John Bernthal. But you got Punisher here, you got Hulk, You got Scorpion, you've got the Hand. I think it's an absolute certainty that Daredevil will be in this movie. I don't see how it not. And it's going to tie, I think, directly into Born Again season 2. I'm the tone of the trailer, everything about it really excites me. I mean, I think my only reservation is that it does have a lot going on here. So we'll see how they handle all that. But again, Destin Daniel Cretton has delivered 2 of my favorite MCU projects in the post Endgame era. So I'm really excited to see what he does. And also, Chris McKenna and Eric Summers are the returning screenwriters from the previous movies. So I trust them as well. So I'm very excited. But Andy, what about you?
Yeah, I've been sort of ambivalent about this movie, or just kind of like wait and see, because I didn't really know what to expect, and these all different stories and theories and whatever. So I was just kind of like, let's just watch the movie and see how it goes. And man, this trailer just floored me. That opening image of Peter on the girder just had me hooked, and I was in from there. It really, we got a Spider-Man of Queens before, and in Brooklyn, Spider-Man of the outer boroughs, and now we've got Spider-Man in Manhattan. Got the verticality of Manhattan, the visuals there, just gorgeous. Several other frames and images in the trailer were amazing. I have no idea what the story is, other than following up on his loss and his situation at the end of the No Way Home. But that's cool. We'll see where that goes from there. But yeah, it just looks amazing. And knowing that, again, I've also appreciated what Destin Daniel Cretton has done with Shang-Chi and Wonder Man. So that's cool. And knowing that Jackie Chan was on set of this film and blessed the action design as they were filming, that's got me excited too. So let's go for it. Brand new day.
I think it could easily be the best visually of the MCU Spider-Man movies. I enjoyed all 3 of those, but that was I think my only the action was good, but there were just elements in the John Watts movies that could have been better. And I think here it just looks so much more fluid and it perfectly paced, perfectly executed. But Will, what about you?
Yeah, I was underwhelmed with Green Lanterns and saw no costumes and it's just guys in blue jeans. Now we have a lot of costume here, and it's very much a superhero and very, very Spider-Man, very street level Peter Parker with a suit that he could wash at the laundromat, So I think it's very much a costume. I loved it. I thought it was great. I love the teaser with the different characters who are going to show up in this, very, very street level. And so, yeah, this is, Christian's favorite title, Brand New Day. It's his favorite story arc in the history of comics. So I'm curious how Christian's going to feel about this. But I do like it. And of course, where it's going to end up at the end or lead to Doomsday or bring in Daredevil, I'm curious about those things too. But let it tell a good, street level Peter Parker story. Yeah, I'm there for it. It's gonna be great. Although I'm just gonna feel so sad. I hope they don't linger too much of how much every time he looks at his friends that don't remember him. That is so heartbreaking, man. I'm like, I hope that's like the first 10 minutes of the film, and then we can kind of let him go out and have a little bit of hope. But who knows how long they'll lean into it. I do feel sorry for Peter.
I do, but I think he will have enough going on in this because we haven't even talked about. We also Sadie Sink still as a mystery character which mm-hmm. I'm gonna bet on it being Jean. I read all the theories and stuff of but there's even a mind control sequence in this trailer. They confirmed that before the trailer dropped. So and especially to cast an actor of that caliber and status right now, especially coming off the heels of Stranger Things and all the other things she's doing, you can't put a movie star in a role that's anything other than a major Marvel character that's going to be there for multiple movies.
It was no accident that Dr. Banner uses the word mutation in there. So he could have said evolving, he could have said leveling up, he could have said stages, but he used mutation in the phrase. So I think that's intentional.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's all building. This is planting the seeds and creating a pathway for the mutant saga that will be post Secret Wars. So yeah, very excited here. And speaking of Christian too, I think, I know he has his thoughts on the Brand New Day storyline, but also this trailer gives the vibe of the 90s animated series as well. So, the Neogenic Nightmare storyline. So, I think he's still really excited. So, yeah. So
Cool. All righty.
Spider-Man, awesome. And one more trailer before Hail Mary. So, yes, Dune, part 3. With returning director Denis Villeneuve. And then I was really excited about this. I didn't know this until I saw the trailer, but the screenplay for this one was written by Villeneuve and Brian K. Vaughan, the great comic book writer. So I was really, I thought this was really cool. But yeah, this is part 3 in the Dune trilogy. So the first 2 films adapted the original Dune novel. This one is adapting Dune Messiah. I have not read Messiah. I've only read the first book, so I know only bits and pieces about it. I do want to read it before the movie comes out. But the trailer doesn't really give much away in terms of story, but it very much sets the tone. It clearly time has passed between this and the end of part 2. Paul Atreides is waging war on the rest of the galaxy. So there's a lot going on here. We have all the returning cast members in addition to Robert Pattinson playing a major antagonist here, and Anya Taylor-Joy playing Paul's sister. So yeah, I mean, I love the first 2 movies. It really enjoyed the first book, so I'm very excited for this one. Andy, do you have any thoughts or just your background with Dune?
Yeah, my background with Dune begins and ends with the Denis Villeneuve movies. I was a big fan of his from Arrival, and then some of his other films, catching up with those after I saw Arrival. Like what he did with Blade Runner, and so more sci-fi from Denis Villeneuve. That sounded good. So check that out. My son actually has read the books, and so he was excited for them. And so we watched these films together, and looking forward to being able to finish out the trilogy with him and maybe the rest of the family. It looks like more of the same. The first 2 films were very good to excellent. Visually stunning. And some meaty sci-fi themes, and it looks like this is more of the same. So bring it on. I wish things were being handled a little bit differently in terms of release dates, maybe, or at least IMAX screens and things like that. I don't know, but we'll see. Mostly because I don't want Avengers Doomsday to do so poorly that we don't get our MCU X-Men films. So. Please don't fumble. Please don't fumble the X-Men. Is all I ask. But not because I want this movie to do poorly. I am happy to see this movie do well. I hope to be able to see both movies in theaters. Maybe even we'll do a Doomsday marathon or something like that. But yeah, anyway, this film itself, I'm excited for, and
yeah.
I mean,
you can do both
by like 2 weeks.
Yeah, you can do both. We can do both, folks. We can do both. It's a both and. Come on, y'all. We can do this. I'm with Andy. As X-Men fan, mutant fans, like we don't. Let's do it. Whatever's set up in Spider-Man, we can do it. I'm looking forward to this. I mean, the trailer, in terms of the visuals and the music, it just puts you right back in that universe, and get a good set of headphones and listen to it is absolutely moving in terms of how they do that. So I can't wait to go back and rewatch the other 2 and ready for this one, and then do that. Have the trilogy is good. I'm a failed Dune book reader. Like I always say, I'm gonna do this, and I read a couple chapters. Like there's no way I'm gonna get through that thick thing. So I kind of give up when it comes to reading Dune, but I do like the universe, and I like its legendary status and sci-fi lore and what it set up for Star Wars and sand planets and all those kind of things. So I'll be there. I'll definitely see it whenever it opens. If I have to choose between Doomsday or Dune, which goes first, which I see first, I'll probably see Doomsday first. I'm not going to lie. But then I'll see Dune. There'll be plenty of time. There's not going to be as big spoilers with Dune as there will be with Doomsday when I watch that. Like, I will get spoiled with the end credit or whatever. So I'll see that one first on the first day. And then Dune, won't be too many spoilers there for that one.
Yeah,
in this world of Doomsday is going to be Thursday night. If I can get even an earlier screening than that, I will.
Yeah.
But Andy, I'm impressed that I've read a science fiction book that you haven't. This is like earth shattering for me. But I thought you were going to say I've read all of the, even the ones that are that Villeneuve isn't as crazy about. And But you never. Oh, so you've never seen the David Lynch film? Well, I highly recommend checking out. I know it's weird and stuff, but
It's weird. I've seen it. It has Sting in it. It has Sting.
I'm aware.
Yep.
It is. My wife's a huge Sting fan, and that even wasn't enough for her. So
I think there's even an action figure of Sting out there somewhere. You could probably find on eBay.
Right.
Yeah, Dune action figures.
I don't know. I do have a reverence for the Lynch film. I know it's like heavily criticized and stuff. I mean, but it's quite fascinating. I do recommend checking it out at some point. But yeah, I agree. If they could just shift the release dates by because I mean, of course, I'm going to watch them both back to back, but I would love to see Doomsday in IMAX and then this in IMAX. And if one is hogging all the screens, like that's going to be problematic. So just release them I mean, they'll both be done by then. Just release them 2 weeks apart instead of on the same day.
I imagine they will.
Yeah. So
now
awesome.
they just moved Jumanji 2 weeks to Christmas Day. There's just not a lot of wiggle room.
Man,
It's a crowded.
It's the holiday is always for big movies, but yeah.
Well, friends, Christmas presents for you are buying you movie tickets to come see it with me. So
Exactly.
I'll help out. I'll help out the economy by doing that.
There we go. Awesome. All right. Well, Andy, I'm very excited to get to the final big topic of the night, which is Project Hail Mary, directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, screenplay by Drew Goddard, and based on the novel by Andy Weir. Andy, I love that Andy Weir's name even sounds like it's close to you're both Andy W's. You both I feel like if you guys met,
AW
on end. But yeah. Oh, it's great. But yeah, I don't know who. Actually, Andy, let's save you for last because I know you're gonna have the best thought. I'll give my quick thoughts first here, and then Will, I want to hear from you. But Andy, I want to hear your full monologue on this movie because I'm really excited. But yeah, so I have seen Project Hail Mary twice already. I read the book literally right before I had a few days off work, and so I finished it the night before I saw the movie. I really enjoyed the book. I mean, I also did the same with The Martian back when that came out. Read the book right before, and it was interesting because there were people who said the book changed their life. I mean, it was made for me, I thought the book was very good. I think this is one of the few cases where I think the movie is even slightly better than the novel, because there's just something special about everything about this movie, all the elements that come together from the cinematography, the directing, the screenplay, the performance by Ryan Gosling, and not just him, but supporting characters like Sandra Hüller as Eva Strata, and then James Ortiz bringing to life Rocky. And I think that was the biggest thing. It's when you're reading the book, really enjoyed Rocky, but I think the way they brought him to life here and the use of puppetry, the voice actor who did the puppetry as well, the interactions between him and Ryan Gosling's portrayal of Ryland Grace, all of this is phenomenal. So I really love this movie. I thought it was just a great experience, and for Lord and Miller, they never got to make their Han Solo movie. They were Lucasfilm and Ron Howard took over, but in a way, they got to make another, at least Man in Space story, and I think something even better. But yeah, so I really love this movie. Will, I want to get your kind of thoughts on it. Also, I didn't even get a plot summary, so if you want to talk about just a little bit what it's about.
Yeah, it's Interstellar and E.T. had a baby, and that's why you have Hail Mary. And so I rewatched Interstellar for Andy and I to do our on loop series, and so that was really thick in my mind about the plot line of saving the Earth, going to space, not being able to come back, time difference, what does that look like, and then then you have an alien show up. I really loved it. It was very charming. It was good. I thought the pacing was great. I thought the, how they tell the story of, he has the lost memory, but then you have these kind of flashbacks to kind of fill in the pieces of how he got to where he is and some of that journey along the way, and kind of fill out the story that way. I thought was brilliantly done. And so yeah, I really liked it. I wanted to read the book, but I was like, my book list is way tall and long. So I was like, I'll just see the movie first and I'll read the book maybe later on. But I've heard different. I've heard people say, "Oh, if you enjoy the movie, you're going to love the book even better," Kevin. So that's what people have said. So you can send all your angry emails to Kevin Schaefer at hailmary.rocky, and he'll answer all your angry emails for that. But I adore this movie. I thought it was really good. I'll probably go back and see it. It was visually stunning. I will say there at the end, there's a couple things like, oh, they're kind of like the typical things of, oh, sacrifice so that he can come back home. But then the twist of, I thought there's a couple ending. I was like, oh, this is where we're going to end. And it doesn't. It hangs on for another 20 minutes doing other things. It's like, oh, that's what we're doing. So that caught me. It drug for me a little bit at the end, because I was like, there's a couple of fake outs in terms of how the movie is going to end. But I love where it landed at the end. And I have a question for Andy about the book a little bit later on when it comes to life and water and non-water life, that kind of thing too. So, yeah, Andy, take it away. I know you really love the book. How do you think the movie matches up? And did you have, this was written for you, as we've said?
Yeah, I mean, I read the book pretty much as soon as it came out. I, was paying attention to Andy Weir, following The Martian. So I read Artemis when it came out and read this when it came out. This is my favorite, easily, of his 3 novels so far. And so I was very excited at the news that they were going to adapt this. It was my most anticipated film of 2025 because I didn't read the release calendar properly, but they filmed it so long ago. They filmed it in 2024, and so I thought it was coming last year. But, these things go as they must. And so it was also my most anticipated film of this year. I still very much liked Wake Up Dead Man, but it may very well have been my favorite movie of last year if it had come out last year. And it is definitely in the running for my favorite movie of this year. It was just, pretty much exactly what I wanted. I don't read books necessarily like, oh, I'm picturing things a certain way and it has to be this way and it has to be that way. But it captured the feel of the book, the sort of grounded optimism or realistic optimism of the book that, look, this may not work, but what is the alternative? Do nothing. And I think that's a really helpful perspective, right? That, yeah, it's not all, gumdrops and rainbows, but that doesn't mean we don't put in the work and find our best shot and give it our best shot. And yeah, just what Andy Weir does so well is create problems that can be solved by doing science or applying science. And this movie and The Martian, maybe The Martian does a little bit more of that. It gets a little bit more granular on that. This movie kind of glosses over some of the details in the book, especially figuring out how to communicate, how Dr. Grace, Ryan Gosling's character, and Rocky, the alien that he meets, can communicate across a language and culture barrier unlike anything that any human has ever experienced.
That felt a little rushed, but you know what?
Yeah,
go with it. We have to keep going. I understand. Like, this movie has to keep rolling.
Yeah,
so I understand.
Yeah, it definitely has the pace, but yeah, there is more to that in the book. There is, there's more of some of the other science as well. And I guess, to kind of flesh out the plot just a little bit, right? So we discover that the sun is dimming, and that is a result of these interstellar microbes that
space virus. There's a space virus, Andy. Is there a danger of a space virus? Is that real? Do I need to be worried about this, Andy? It's not an asteroid. It's not climate change, but there's a space virus.
Well, they do use the phrase space virus, but they also say that it's a cell, and viruses are not cellular. So it is
okay.
It is probably more like a bacteria, but of course it shares no common ancestry with anything on Earth as far as the book and the movie lead us to believe. And so classifying it as anything taxonomically related to Earth is maybe perhaps a mistake. So bacteria might also be the wrong word. We'll say microbe because I think that's taxonomically unspecific enough.
Gotcha.
But yeah, definitely cellular life, definitely microbe. Could such a thing exist in space? I mean, this is one of the reasons why the space program is so particular about what we send up there microbially, because we don't want to contaminate things, and we don't want to contaminate the possibility of discovering microbes elsewhere. But there's reason to think that microbes could survive traveling on meteors or something like that. We don't have any evidence it does actually happen, but we know how hardy microbes can be. We have done science in space to show, that things can survive in space, in different very strenuous environments, high vacuum, low gravity, high radiation, all these things. And so, I don't think we need to worry about a what is it? Andromeda strain scenario. The Michael Crichton book, or something like this exactly. But yeah, I think there's the possibility for there to be all kinds of wild and woolly things out there that have capabilities that we haven't encountered on Earth, or perhaps even haven't even imagined. But these particular, the extreme physics of microbes that can travel near light speed and absorb all light and eat suns, eat stars. That's pretty extreme. And so, yeah, I wouldn't put that as maybe the most likely scenario of all the extraterrestrial microbe scenarios. But it's, it sure makes for a fun movie, a fun story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the sun is dimming because these microbes are eating the sun, and they discover that there is a star in the nearby neighborhood, relatively speaking, that doesn't seem to be infected with these microbes. And so Ryan Gosling is sent, Dr. Grace is sent in a spaceship to figure out what's special about Tau Ceti, the star and star system that are not infected. And while he's there, as the trailer gives away, he encounters an alien on a similar mission from another planet who's been sent to answer the same question. And the two of them work together, figure out how to overcome their language barrier, and work to figure out a way to save their respective home planets. And yeah, they're a charming duo act. Rocky is entirely puppeted. It is probably the cutest creature that has been put to celluloid that does not have a face. It is very easy to hack into the neural circuits in our brains that make us fall in love with things with big eyes and baby faces, right? And so that has been employed to great effect in any number of stories to make animals and aliens and other things read to us as cute babies that we have to fall in love with immediately. But Rocky has none of that. Rocky has no eyes, no facial features, nothing for your pareidolia to latch onto. He is just a rock spider, a rock crab, and nevertheless is delightfully charming. And
yeah, he may not have a face, but he definitely charms me with giving the thumbs up or thumbs down in the wrong way.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's cute. So yeah, he's enduring.
And also, one thing I want to say about just what I really love about the movie and how it translates the book is because the book is written in first person from Grace's perspective, and so you get a lot of insight into cause he's still, like, when he's on the ship for most of the time, he still doesn't have memories of everything that happened when he was on Earth. He gradually as his memories come back, and then he's has the story with Rocky play out. So you get all of this insight into his character. You get all the insight into the scientific aspects. And I thought the movie did a great job with both, adapting that character, Ryan Gosling bringing a lot to the performance, and, taking what was there in the book and in the screenplay and really making it his own. And the screenplay does a great job where, because that's very hard to translate to the screen when you have primarily one human character, and you're relying on the book's narration of his inner thoughts and how you translate that to film. So I thought all of that was expertly handled.
Yeah, and like the balance of like seriousness, urgency, along with kind of charm and humor and kind of lightheartedness. Gosling does a great job with that. It gives me hope for Starfighter coming up. He's going to be he's in the Star Wars universe soon as a starfighter. He's the lead in a major Star Wars movie. So seeing him in space and his character and how he acted it out, I was like, oh, cool. I'm really looking forward to him in Star Wars too. But Andy, going back to the plot there. So when they get to like working together, and then they have to science, like The Martian, they have to science the crap out of this thing together. They work it out, but then there's that element of sacrifice too that makes you kind of really feel to what could be done, because it's not just language, but also like oxygen, atmosphere, bodysuits. He has to. I love it that his name is Dr. Grace. There's grace involved. As a good Lutheran pastor, I love grace.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
Hail Mary, full of grace. And so that, I think, that's intentional, but he has his own spacesuit, spacewalk, and what that looks like. But then so does Rocky. Has to figure out, what he can do and can't do, and solve around that as well.
Yeah, and I think Weir did a really interesting job of imagining a very different kind of culture, right? That has different strengths and weaknesses, and a different kind of different path and trajectory of science development. And so there are things that we would think of as sort of obvious and requisites to space travel that that Rocky's people just aren't aware of at all, because of their different sensory experiences and the different environment of their planet. And so I thought that was well done. You don't really get much of that in the film. But there's a lot of that in the book. Sort of the background of why things are the way they are is worth kind of checking out. And I also just I really appreciate the way that the film gives us a hero character who is not perfect at everything. Right? He is highly competent in his areas, and we get to see him and the people around him employ their competence to great effect and to the benefit of mankind, and that's always exciting to see. At the same time, he's not, Dr. Grace super genius. He doesn't have 12 doctorates. None of this kind of like nonsense of he is also an action hero and an ace pilot and a surgeon and whatever. Like he has
three daughters back home he has to go save. Like we've done that already with Interstellar. Like his attachments on Earth are pretty small, but still the problem looms of what do you do with the rest of the human race. So I'm that choice was made of like, he thinks of himself. He's like, I don't think I could do this. But then you find out why he's on the ship. They basically smuggle him and kidnap him and put him on the ship because they believe in him to do it. Like that was a little something that I didn't know was coming. I was like, oh, okay. I see what you did there. And then to see him like care for Rocky, and that gives him hope to save Nick, and they solve that problem together, but still go to Rocky, and maybe he'll come home one day. We don't know, but he likes what he's doing, teaching. But that whole element that we just saw in Interstellar with the family attachment, and should I or should not go with a family, and the kind of the trolley problem of Earth, and who do I save? That wasn't necessarily a part of this. It was a different thing, which I thought was refreshing to me. I guess because Interstellar was so close. Just rewatched that, and I don't know what you thought about that aspect of it.
Yeah, and that is faithful to the book, and in the ending, while it does make some changes, I didn't feel like it was dragging because I was expecting some amount of what we got there at the end. But yeah, it is, he is an interesting character in that his motivations are entirely, extra familial, right? It's not, if I'll save the Earth because it saves my kid. It's just, I'm going to save the Earth because that's where all the people are. And, I care about the human race in the abstract. And that is something, there's the quip, and I'm forgetting which geneticist or whatever said it, about he'd be willing to sacrifice his life for 2 of his kids or 8 of his cousins kind of thing. Doing the math of what will ensure that my same genes survive in the same ratios. And humans are capable of altruism and compassion and cooperation that goes much beyond that kind of calculus, right? We're not just hardwired to care about our immediate family, but we have this ability to recognize the entire human race as our extended family. And it was cool to see that dramatized. It's also great to see examples of an example of things that we have done in the past and could do again in the future, these sort of international collaborations on big science endeavors, right? We have done this before with space, with medicine and engineering projects and technology and so forth. And, we, like I said, we can do it again, but we just have to want to. And I hope and I think there is something, not that we need necessarily a crisis, although we take your pick of ones we could work on, but having goals to work together as a people is a much better unifying force than a common enemy, like the Watchmen hypothesis of, the people of Earth can come together as long as they have a space alien to hate. Well, maybe, the people of Earth could come together because we have a space alien that we want to fall in love with and need to go visit.
Yeah. And I was also encouraged that my movie theater I was in opening night was pretty full, and you kind of feel like the summer blockbusters like coming. Here we are, it's spring. We're getting close to summer, these movies. And there's a lot of young people, high schoolers in there as well. That was kind of fun. So yeah, it's kind of a role model for like, not only just like a cool sci-fi PG-13 movie, but also, giving some hope of how we can solve the problems and work together as a society. I hope is a tale and a parable that hopefully we can take to heart in this day and age for sure.
Oh, it's very needed. That's why, and there is like kind of a darker element of the book as well. You mentioned about, him kind of like, the government kind of just taking him more against his will and throwing him on the ship. Like they do a little more with that. And there's like another element to that in the book that they left out here. But nonetheless, it's still a very optimistic story. And the movie especially, I think is that, especially in this day and age where there is so much cynicism and there is, justifiably a lot of things to be concerned about. But at the same time, we need that dose of optimism to say that, there is still the best of humanity out there.
Absolutely. So yeah, in terms of recommending this, I fully recommend the movie. Go see it. Get your popcorn, bring a friend, bring a family member, and have fun. It's definitely worth it. I think so.
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome.
Hey, podcast fam. Want to stay even more connected with the show? We've got you covered. Check us out on Instagram and Blue Sky, where we're posting exclusive content and bonus videos and fun updates that you won't get anywhere else. From sneak previews of upcoming episodes to bonus content, our social accounts are the best way to keep the conversation going. Plus, it's a great spot for you to interact with other listeners and share your thoughts. We love hearing from you. When you follow us, it helps us grow and continue bringing you the content that you love. Whether it's a funny poll, a quick clip from today's episodes, or just random thoughts, you'll feel more plugged into everything we're doing. So go ahead and hit that follow button on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's one more way to be a part of the show and keep the good vibes flowing. Thanks for being a part of the family, and we can't wait to see you there.
Well, I think that, yeah. Andy, anything else you want to say about it? I also give very high rating.
My final question. Yeah. Is life possible without water? Was his theory right? I wish they built on that a little bit, because Rocky has kind of proven his point that you don't necessarily, was it carbon based? Was it, did H2O involved with this? I mean, he had his like little simulation on the planet, his biodome, but like, is that something that they play around with in the book a little bit longer? Kind of like, hey, I was right, or not?
Yeah, I don't recall that he gets to really explore whether Rocky is water based or not. But in general, there are various theories about alternative chemistries that don't involve necessarily carbon as being quite so central, or phosphorus. Right, there are other. You can basically kind of go down the periodic table and. Within a given column, most of the elements that are central to life kind of come from the top couple of rows, and that's because they are the most abundant, because they're the easiest to form. Right, all these elements have to be built up by fusing protons or nuclei together from smaller components, and so you need more energy to do that, and you need stars to have been around longer and longer time to do that. And so there's just a lot more hydrogen and helium and carbon and things in the world, in the cosmos, than there is, uranium or americanium, because of where they are in the sequence of how these things get built, and also their stability in the lifetime. I probably shouldn't have chosen radioactive ones as my other examples, but but yeah, so you kind of go down the column, and the elements below kind of have some of the same properties. So silicon is under carbon, and that's why people say, oh, maybe you could have silicon-based life instead of carbon-based life. but the combination of hydrogen and oxygen that you get in water has additional properties, right, that you can't just extrapolate from hydrogen and oxygen, and that you don't necessarily get by combining things from the same columns in the same way.
Gotcha.
And so between the fact that there's very little of anything else, right? I think that's what convinced me that the abundance argument, I think, makes me the most skeptical that there is other life in the cosmos that isn't sort of carbon and water based. Not that theoretically the chemistry is impossible, but more just there's just not enough of those elements around for a long enough time to have done things. But that's not to say that maybe there isn't some planet out there somewhere where things just happen to concentrate and the right kind of stuff come together. But I would expect that in the part of the world, the cosmos that we're going to be able to get to anytime soon, I think if we are going to find life, it probably will be water based.
Well, if they give me a vote of who to send to find that out, Andy, I'll put you on that ship tomorrow if you really want to go. I won't do it against your will. I want to go. Right. You have a family. You have a family. I'll ask your family. You guys have more than 3 hours to think about it. Yeah, I trust you. If you were to go solve it.
I appreciate that.
Interstellar problem.
One thing that I would know is to balance my centrifuge. That was my one little science nitpick. He's got his two little Eppendorf tubes. He puts in a centrifuge. He puts them right next to each other. Now, it's probably a low speed centrifuge is probably not that big of a deal in that case, but it's just good practice, right? I've known too many people who've ruined tens of thousands of dollars of
ouch,
not balancing the centrifuge. So remember, boys,
duly noted. Yeah. Okay. If you don't take anything away from this podcast, take away this. Don't let your centrifuge get too close to each other. Is that what you just said, Andy?
Yeah, don't put the tubes. You want it balanced, like opposite sides, so that when they're spinning, they're balanced.
Duly noted. Writing that down right now. Yep.
And then the one other thing that I want to shout out about the movie is the score by Daniel Pemberton. He has become my favorite film composer, who is not named John Williams. And so as if this movie wasn't already enough for me, the fact that he was tapped to do the score was amazing. It's got some of the kind of Hans Zimmer organs for space kind of influence from Interstellar. There were definitely some cues that had some Interstellar influence. Just like lots of other things about the film had an Interstellar influence, and why not? But there were also definitely some original things as well. He brings instruments and different kinds of sounds to film scores that you just don't hear many people other using. So it's just very inventive and creative in that way, and I thought that was a good fit for a movie that is exploring the limits of what's possible biologically and technologically. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I haven't had the chance yet, but I'm looking forward to digging into that album on its own. Yeah, and thought it worked very well in the theater with the film. So shout out to him.
Nice,
he's brilliant. I have the Spider-Verse soundtrack playing.
Oh yeah, those are those are great stuff.
Nice, cool. Thanks, y'all. That was fun.
Oh, this was a blast. And I love, too, we got Andy Walsh, a science class here, right here on systematic ecology. This is fascinating for me to learn about. But I will still, again, take credit. I'm the only one here who's read Dune. I was not expecting that.
That's right. There you go. We learned that, too, tonight. We sure did.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think, guys, we can all collectively recommend Project Hail Mary. We'll do that as a recommendation for tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Andy,
thumbs down.
Definitely.
Oh man, yeah. We had a comment from Evan, 2 thumbs down, and I was like, "What is he thumb downing for us for?" And I was like, "Oh, now I know. I get it. I remember. Yeah, thanks, Evan, for doing 2 rocky thumbs up for us. Yeah, thanks, buddy."
I love it. Awesome. Well, guys, this was an absolute blast. Always love geeking out with y'all and just covering all the latest stuff in geek news. So yes, go see Project Hail Mary. Let us know what you thought of these trailers. Recommend other stuff too. We have a great community here at Systematic Ecology. So connect with us on social media. We would love to hear from you. And again, follow the links in the description here to learn how to support us. And Andy, you want to close us out with the centrifuge line tonight? Because I think we can do that instead of our usual sign off.
Remember, always bound to centrifuges.
And also with you.
Also with you.
We just want to take a moment to ask you all to consider sponsoring our show. You can do so by becoming a member in the website down in the show's description. It takes a lot to keep this show running as far as editing equipment, paying the site that platforms our show to all the different mediums where you listen to your podcast, going to events. There's a lot of cost behind this. And I was thinking of the most fun way to do this ad, and I was going to do like, one of those songs where it's like, there's a log on the lake, and then by the end, it's like there's a speck in the eye of the flea on the log on the lake or something. Then I realized that would just take too long, and I don't want to bore you guys. So I'm going to list some of the benefits you can get for being a member as a thank you to those who do take some of their funds to help sponsor our show. At the free tier, you get some perks, including like free episodes. Yeah, you don't even have to pay to get extra content that goes along with our annual theme, or even in collaboration with the Rethinking Faith, we're going to be doing Rethinking Comics, and you can get that on our website if you want to follow that series. As you move up some of the paid tiers, you get access to exclusive merch only for our sponsors. You get access to the bonus questions we do each thing, and all kinds of things that are like shout outs for all tiers. You can get a shout out on the episode. All of the tiers come with some incredible benefits. As you go through some of the different ones moving up, you get different % off of our merchandise. We just straight up give you money towards purchasing stuff. Some of the tiers just get $10 a month to buy stuff from us. We do free giveaways. Some of the tiers come with birthday presents, Christmas presents, free t-shirts for our members. There are lots of things that we do because we just want to show our appreciation for those who are able to take their funds and sponsor our show. But we also want to remind you, whether or not you can financially support the show, we appreciate everyone who takes their time to listen to this. Remember that verse that's like, perhaps you're here for a time such as this. Well, perhaps you're here for a time such as sponsoring our show, or perhaps you're not here to listen to ads, and I should wrap this up.
This show is a proud member of the Anazal Podcast Network. Other shows on the network include Be Living Water, where Joshua Knoll discusses various topics from a Taoist Christian perspective, inviting listeners to imitate Christ and be water, beneficial to all and a conflict with none. Friday Night Frights, Day and Christian Ashley discuss all things frightful, from UFOs to the paranormal to serial killers and more. Kung Fu Pizza Party, where Brandon discusses all things martial arts media, delivering high-flying action and wisdom, one slice at a time, all in under 30 minutes. And my other show with Christy Whaley, Theology on the Rocks, where two theology PhDs talk about our lives, the world, and theology, all over drinks, clearly. Come on over each week to hear two besties discuss academic nerd stuff while also banter endlessly, especially if wine is involved.